Tony, there were just a couple things there that, on the auditor's report, clerk's monthly report, if I'm reading the right minutes, it says there was a motion by Steve Kuhn and a second by Steve Kuhn.
Yes, you did see that correctly.
Okay,
And I shall correct that.
good man.
I will correct that, unless Steve did both.
You know, he probably did, but I probably should get credit for one of those, and I don't care which one.
But that's what happens when there's 2 out of 3 Stevens, and the other one's a Stan.
I know.
Yeah, I can fix that.
That would really be tough if it was 3 Steves, wouldn't it?
That's like
That was
Three
my-
Stooges.
Yeah, I'll
my
fix that.
brother's name, so good thing he's not here. Yeah.
You can approve it contingent upon me changing that.
The only other thing I saw, Stan, and I don't know whether this is critical or not, in the highway department, the 1, 2, 3, fourth line there says a motion by Steve Bailey and a second. It doesn't say who the second was by.
I'll
We need
fix that
that in
too.
minutes.
Probably.
I would assume Steve Kuhn made that second.
Yep.
Steve Bailey might have, Steve made
Or maybe you did both. Yeah, I can fix both of those.
That was all I had.
All right.
Other than that, I'll make a motion to approve as corrected.
Second.
All right, motion carries.
I'll
Thank
I'll
you.
fix those 2 things.
Thank you.
You want us to sign this copy?
That's fine.
All right.
It'll still be fine.
I didn't even catch that.
That's a good paper up there. And they bunch up quite a bit to get to it.
Okay,
If you do ever see anything prior to the meeting,
Let you know
let me
ahead of
know
time.
so that I can fix it and
Okay.
print it out before the meeting.
Very good.
Okay, let's see. Are you ready for me?
yep,
Okay, the first thing that I have, let's find a paper clip here, is a client service agreement between USI and the county for the use of an actuary. And that is in the amount of $7,000. And Stan, this would be you signing all of that.
yeah. And that's typical. We have used an actuary
Yes.
in addition to the
Yeah,
administrator.
well, let me see, how's that work? The actuary works for USI. But
But our insurance,
Shapley contracts with this person to do the
we
actuary.
did the actuarial.
Did I say that right, Shannon?
Okay. All right.
Motion approved.
Second.
So that was Steve Kuhn on both?
Yes.
Little self-deprecating humor. Here we go on, Stan, or here we go.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm just signing here. Yep.
Okay, the next thing that we have is Allied Weekly Health Insurance Claims. That's in the amount of $48,630.13. Hold on. Of that, $9,909.36 is medical. Pharmacy is $38,720.77. For a total of $46,630.13. Stan, this needs signed. I didn't stamp your name. I apologize for the pink paper. That's actually how our printer is printing right at the moment.
Cancer awareness day.
Should we be expecting a repair bill on the copiers then next month?
Well, it seems to be as we print, it's getting lighter pink.
Okay.
So,
Take the color cartridge out.
You know, I know one of the things that we're talking, and Shannon's brought us some options about with health insurance. You know, until I started sitting in this chair, I didn't realize what the difference was between our medical bills and our pharmacy bills, but boy, that pharmacy bill just seems to kill us every month, doesn't it?
And that's one thing that has been discussed when we've talked to them. I forget what was that called, Shannon, that when they would have to use generic if it's available instead of the,
Called generic step therapy, but when we talked about it in October, the commissioners at the time decided that it wasn't something that they thought would be a good idea just because the savings potential was so small.
Yeah.
It was only about 1% of our total spend on pharmacy, which is $1 million, so what is that, 10 grand? I mean, so it's not nothing, but it's.
But
not-
we've looked at some other things since then. You brought us an
I'll let
option
you look at that.
relating to the more, I call them designer
If you
drugs, but the
approve
more
it.
expensive drugs, managing that spend on those really expensive drugs. So I appreciate you looking at that. I think that's something we just have to look at in the future. Every month, I'm kind of like, wow.
It's about 33% of the total spend for the year is pharmacy.
So,
Second,
All right, yeah, I'll have to sign it.
sorry.
okay, next we have accounts payable, which I believe you got sent and we're already looking through prior, but the accounts payable claims are $534,202.55. $534,202.55. Cuban Bridge was a pretty good saving out of that.
got a problem with this, Steve?
No, I just had a couple of questions. We've answered those already, so I'm good. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
Okay.
Alrighty.
Then next we have Eastern Alliance, workers' comp claims. And that went back from 12/31 to 2/28. And the amount is 4620.17 for workers' comp to Eastern Alliance, and you can look through and see what those are. They're stated with that.
hopefully this one is about done. All right.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion carries. To approve the workman's comp claims.
Have one other item of business here. We need to vote on the appointment of Barb Lehrman as EMA Director. We have the appointment page here. So that would be, well, we need a motion and a vote, and then you can sign up there. I'll take it up for her signature. I think she might be here coming for some other reason today, so I can just have her sign it.
Okay,
But we need to make it official and
all right,
vote on it.
So moved.
Second.
all right, motion carries.
Fortunate that we have her ready to step in there. That's
Yeah.
for us.
That is all that I have.
Okay. I am gonna bring, Mike, since you're here, we've got the one quote, and I don't know if you want to speak to that,
Yeah.
unless you got anything else in addition since.
This is for Shades software. We use that to do asset management on our equipment, all the physical equipment. We put an agent down on the equipment. We have a software that assists in communicating with the agents back. They pick up all the hardware, all the software, everything that's been put on to those. We use it for license management as well as anything dealing with hardware, where we're at and stuff. There's 3 line items there. One is the license update or renewal for the server, which is the highest line item of $29.70.43. That's for the license for the server. And then down below are the licenses that span across everything in Adams County that is connected to our network. So there's a 150 and a 250 down into there, different price breaks on volumes and so on. But 7469.43, $7,469.43.
Oh, I sent it down there, Steve.
That is budgeted for in Fund 1000, line item 35735.000.9600. Got plenty of money in there for that particular item. This is a quote. This isn't the invoice. So I was going to attach a PO onto it, send it down, and then this quote expires at the 25th of this month.
So Mike, this is something that sets on everybody's computer and reports back to the server condition, and you said it manages licensing updates. Does it also do your updates?
Yeah,
Okay.
I used it this last weekend, 8 hours on Saturday
Okay.
alone, just to get updates on.
Yeah, what a challenge that is in a system like ours, I know.
Yeah. And it covers, we've got to cover all of like Geneva,
Yeah,
Bern, all of Decatur's part, as well as ours, because they're on our network.
And that's one of the things that we bill for and get reimbursed for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, we haven't billed them yet for this year because I'm trying to negotiate something.
Yeah. okay.
But they'll get dinged in through this part. Yeah. So I'm looking for approval to approve so I can sign it and get a PO to it and send it down to them. And then they will send an invoice back.
motion approved.
Second.
All right, very good. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. 'Cause I know sometimes when I go to explain things, I don't explain them as good as you. All right. All right. Becky, did you want to come out?
I apologize, but you get me today. I do.
Yeah, Brad's down there partying. Yeah,
Leave us here to do the dirty work.
that's right.
I do have a permit from Indiana Michigan Power for 700 north between 2 and 3 east. I believe it is a new resident
Oh, okay.
approval.
All
So I'm
right.
asking if that be approved.
Okay.
What township is that?
700 north. Bruce
It's between
Township.
2 and 3, so it's in room.
Yeah, okay. Motion.
Motion approved.
Was Brad go out and inspect them?
Yes.
Since Brad's not here, did you go
He did
inspect that?
yesterday. No. Say yes.
Yeah, you'd have thought she'd have went out there.
Well, I could have, that's my old stomping grounds. The second thing is, and I believe Brad sent you emails regarding the Oakwood issue.
Right,
Basically, we had hoped to get away without having to put any money into it, but it was a mess. A mess was created when they
Probably heard.
crossed the road fell apart, blah, blah, blah. All of it together, they're looking at a $975,449 repair. That's $975,449. They're looking at having 800,000 of that. Need the numbers?
975,449.
Yes, they're looking to have 800,000, and this is estimate funds available in the Fleming contract should be utilized, which would leave us with 175,449 that we're looking to, we want it to be right, and then we will be looking at the rest of it because that was just one road section. So we'll be looking at the rest of it and trying to get it all uniform as to how it will be when it's all said and done.
so is this the total to do all the work that needs to be done?
Just on that one road, because they're gonna have to tear it apart and rebuild it.
Okay,
Because
but the other road, will that need similar work?
it will need topped.
But not the extent that this
No.
is? Okay.
No, we will be looking to do that, maybe even at the same time, but a separate invoicing and billing, because that's all on us. But they will be putting in the majority of the work on that one stretch. And this is just kind of a heads up. It's really just to let you know that this is what's coming and make sure you're okay with it,
What fund will that come out of then?
We have several contractual funds, oil tax. It could be from any of those. And kind of plan ahead for any project that might possibly come due, and a few of them do and some of them are put off till next year because you just can't get things done fast enough. So we have the money to account for it.
Well, and that is definitely out in the county. It's not annexed in the city, so those are county roads
It
or
is.
county streets, I should say.
And we do maintain them.
Yeah,
We had just hoped with this project, the road would be able to be put back into the shape it was previously.
yeah.
You gotta look back at how long ago that road was built, and how we build them now isn't how they were built back then. So the ground was more sandy than expected, and
Yeah,
it just fell apart. So they are going to come up with the majority of the money to be able to fix it as good as they can get it.
okay.
And then they're asking for us to cover the rest. And
Okay.
again, we will also be looking at the rest of the roads in Oakwood to get them all taken care of, but it won't be nearly that costly.
Okay. All right.
We need a motion on that.
Yeah, or no?
It's up to you guys. If you want a motion that you've heard it and you approve it, that's fine. Otherwise, it's just, he wanted to let you guys know what was coming.
I suppose it wouldn't hurt to have a motion on that, I think, to approve that cooperative expense with the sewer district.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve that expense.
So on the rest of the roads out there, you have a price on those?
We haven't yet. No, we haven't yet. We will have to get that looked at, and they'll give us a quote to put a top surface on.
What section is it that we're talking about out there?
The South Drive, when you pull in, I honestly don't remember the road. I'm not sure that it says on here. By a map, I could tell you, but it's, there's two entrances to Oakwood. It's the south entrance straight in.
That's all the way back.
Mhm.
And
I
what's-
believe the work was between the first turnoff and then what would be the second turnoff. It was in that area there.
And you made a motion for what?
Yeah, one be 175, 449 would be the difference between 800,000 from the sewer district and the quote that you had.
On that one's okay, I'll second that.
And if it's different, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Beach Drive, does that sound?
Is that what it
I
is?
bet it is.
Maple Drive is the north one and Beach Drive
Okay,
is,
then it would be the beach drive.
yeah. Okay,
Now, the next thing I have is the bituminous oil bids that were read last week. I have bid tabs if you would like a copy of them.
were they different? I know he read them off. and
Okay.
they-
The only difference, yes, they are different to look at because he didn't take it out the 3 digits for and it is critical. When you're buying 50,000 gallons of oil on an invoice, that third digit makes a big difference. So
Okay.
do you want
Um,
copies if you want them?
Well, why don't you go ahead and read what you've got? And, because I'm sure you've got a recommendation on each one of them.
Right.
So,
Okay, and K-Tech Specialty Coatings AE90 was $2.049 a gallon. And asphalt material for AE90 was $2.098. We're suggesting going with K-Tech at the lower cost.
okay.
Make that,
I'm sorry,
you want to do them all at once, or you want to?
it's up to you, however you want me to do them.
We can probably do them together, I suppose, and do them according to your recommendation.
Okay, dust control, K-Tech is $2.15. Asphalt is $1.931. We are hoping to go with asphalt on that one. Post chip and seal, the post chip and sealant, there is a difference in the penetration. This is kind of every year we talk about this to try to make sure we have it in our head the way that it is. And the first one has a penetration of less than 50. And K-Tex was $1.85. Asphalt's $1.801. And we would hope to go with asphalt on that one. And the post chip and sealant greater than 50. K-Tech did not submit a bid, and asphalt's was the same as the other, which is $1.801. So we are suggesting to go with K-Tech for the AE90. And the dust control and the 2 post chip and sealants, we would go with asphalt.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, the last thing I have is we have an ordinance in effect for permits in regards to field and drive accesses. This ordinance was back in 17, and one of the main reasons we had to have the ordinance written was when the stone quarry changed over and was sold, they stopped carrying all the small accounts. We don't charge for permits to actually, for the permit itself. There's no permit fee. We only had to start charging because they were no longer, John Doe was no longer allowed to call the quarry and say, hey, bill me when they pick up the stone. So in order for us to be able to continue to put drives in, we have to start collecting for the stone up front. They are still getting billed for the pipe. We haven't ran into a problem there yet. One of the 2 or 3 places we get pipe from, they are still willing to bill out to, the taxpayers. But for us, we can't bill out, so we need to charge for the stone ahead of time. At the time, our engineer, Tim, gauged an approximate amount of stone we would need for a typical 30-foot drop. 30-foot pipe is our minimum. There's no way you can tell, even when they come in to fill it out, we're not going to be able to tell if it's a deep ditch, shallow ditch, whatever. So we came up with what we felt like was a good average that we wouldn't be losing money. And that charge was $120 for a 30-foot drive and $20 for each additional 10-foot of culvert that we would be covering. The ordinance was written that it's not a specific price, but it's based on market value. Well, we're now 6 years down the line, and we all know increases that have taken place over the last 6 years. We're now to the point where we're losing money. So we need to revamp those prices. And although it's in an ordinance, I guess we wanted to get your blessing. We're looking at charging, if we do it. Now, if we don't do the install, there's no fee. They still have to listen to what we say as far as the size of pipe, but there's no cost unless we're putting it in. We do not put in on new constructions. They're responsible for that themselves. But we're looking at $160 for a 30-foot drive, and for each additional 10-foot, it would be $50. The additional feet is where we're really starting to lose our money. The $20 was good at the time, but it seemed good at the time. But we've had some where we've lost maybe $10, and we've had some where we've lost $200. And there's no way of knowing beforehand when we collect the money what the amount of stone they're going to use. So this is kind of an informative. I don't know that we need to do anything formal, but kind of get your blessings that, and we would like to start this effective June 1.
Did it list the amounts in the ordinance?
No, it says, and I did bring the ordinance just in case there's a question. And it says the prices shall not be fixed as they are determined by market value at the time the highway department provides its service. So the ordinance leaves it open for us to adapt it when prices go up.
So I think you're good.
And
I mean,
but here again, we just kind of wanted to give you a heads up. We're not going to start it until June 1 because we've got enough other things with buggy plates. And we'll be starting, now that we have the oil prices, we'll be starting to take dust control. So with those two things they'll still be active in May. That way in June, we're not fighting with 3 different types of permits and fees. Is there any other questions about that or anything else?
So when you do that, I mean, how do you publicize something?
What we will do
I mean,
is,
just
they
tell
don't
Mark,
honestly know how much it is when they come in. They just don't. We will fill out a notice. As soon as Brad's back, we'll talk about it. And probably my guess is we'll fill out a notice that say they're going to go up to accommodate for stone prices.
so
And
yeah, it's not like something that people have to know way ahead of time.
no. Sometimes they don't even know they have to pay anything and they have to come back. So, there really isn't a way of publicizing it except unless it's in the paper. And we will put up a notice that says, due to stone increases, we're going to be increasing the price of it. Not necessarily put the price down, but just to kind of give them a heads up that there could be a change. And this won't affect anything that's already been filled out. And what is filled out previously is good for a year. After a year, they have to refile the permit.
I mean, it sure sounds like it makes sense though.
We just, for a long time, we've coming out $5, $10 a head. Sometimes you can never get it exact. Tim, God bless him, did the best he could at trying to gauge the depth of the ditches and what a good cost would be. And we're just out of that realm now. I mean, we've taken a little bit hits, and now
Yeah.
people, but especially with the farmers, and they're wanting drive-offs on some of the country roads where they want longer sections so they can get off of the road with their semis. So they may ask for a 200-foot or 150-foot pull-off. And if that's stone, well, the $10 for each additional foot just doesn't cover.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, that
anything
sounds good.
else From you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Have they have any luck on a truck yet?
Yes, I want to say Anderson.
Because I know
I got the invoice to turn in.
the one guy was gonna hold that one for him, but I don't know if they end up getting it.
The local dealership, I don't think they got the complete okay before it got sold.
Oh,
But they did go down and look at one. I believe it's in Anderson. I can't remember the name of the dealership, but I've already got the invoice. And it's due to go in, get turned in Wednesday, so we can get that into their account and we can take over,
good.
get the truck. So I would say in 2 weeks, we should be able to pick up the truck.
Okay.
They've been very good to work with and just Johnny on the spot.
Good.
Anything else?
He said last week they were going to go to Anderson.
Yes.
What was that?
Yeah, and they did. They took a couple hours and went down and looked at the truck.
What a strange market.
It's horrible.
Oh my
It's horrible. But I do have a son-in-law that works at a local dealership, and he said what some of them are having to do is order, like we do with the dump trucks, order chassis and then have it retrofitted up at a place in Fort Wayne in Allen County. It's crazy.
Wow.
And the price of used vehicles are just crazy. What 5 years ago would be $1,000, it's $7,000 now. I mean, it's just, the price of used vehicles are just crazy.
Wow.
So,
All right. Well,
okay.
we'll
Thank
work
you,
with it, I guess.
Roll permit.
Yeah. Okay. Rick, did you have anything?
Still that roof.
Hmm. You try to be nice.
Hey guys, just bear with me. I'm a little under the weather today.
Well, appreciate you coming in.
I guess first what I'm gonna give you is a quote on furniture for the tables and chairs for the room 125.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
And this is from 4U, who we allotted to get our stuff from.
Is this the same company we got these chairs from?
No, sir. Those came from Amazon. I think they brought chairs in, but we decided to go with these instead of what they brought in.
Wow. Do you think maybe we ought to get more quotes?
Not cheap.
Or what are you thinking, Rick?
Yeah, this is the only one that I have. So it's pretty, but this is who we went with first, just because this is the vendor that we chose
Sure.
Yep,
chose to use.
understood.
So we can table that and I can get some more.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense. That's a
Yeah.
lot of,
if you'd be willing to do that, I'd appreciate it.
Like I said, it's the vendor.
Yeah.
While I'm on that room, talking about it, there's some work that needs to be completed in that room. I think I showed you the door getting cut into the other office and installing the 2 doors. Anyway, going forward, kind of at a standstill, so I didn't know if we wanted to go forward with that. The consensus in the change committee was, as far as paying for it, going back to council 2 or 3 times. There still is money in WebEx. Using that money to complete the room. And then going back, when we get our bill in for all the rest of it, the stuff that we purchased, going back to them one time and telling them what that number is.
Yeah, that way we wouldn't have to rewrite the resolution for WebEx.
Right,
And we would just go back through 1140 probably
yeah, just go back to 1142.
to finish out that
Say,
room.
hey, this is our shortcomings, this is why, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just,
Yeah.
Is there any chance that they wouldn't approve that, Sam?
Well, there's always a chance. But either way, if they're gonna do an additional, it would have to be probably out of either ARPA or 1140. But I mean, 1140 is specifically there for annex repairs. I mean, that's specifically with it. It's just that they zeroed it out in the budget so they could keep their thumb on it a little bit. So, I mean, I think it's very justified to take it out of that account.
How much more you think we've got coming yet, Rick, on that?
I have the quote to cut the opening in, install the door and the other door, and finish up that office area. I don't have the quote for the fire door yet, basically the 2 doors. But what I do have is just what I said here, and that number is $6,000.
That's cutting that new door.
Installing it, finishing it, hanging the other door, putting the base trim in.
That's the door going into 125 and going to the offices, the
Yes.
2 doors.
And then 2 doors.
That was 6,000 what?
195.
And that fire door, is that a double door?
No, it's a 3.0 single door.
Okay,
Push bar, has to be fire.
okay,
This is at the window.
okay.
And I don't have that quote.
I guess to me, well, like you say, when we sat up there and talked about it, that seemed to be the most straightforward way to finish paying out for that room.
In other words, go to them one time and explain what's going on.
I think we're pretty committed to that now. I mean, we've already got quite a bit invested in heading that direction. We're just looking at finishing it up.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
We need a motion on the 6195.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Okay, motion carries to approve that money out of, was that 89? Out of the WebEx.
So that 42,601. 189.50, 42,601.
The amount was 6195 even?
Yes, sir.
and I guess our backup to that, if they don't improve it out of the WebEx, then would be to come out of the annex general maintenance
Yeah, 1140,
fund. Yeah,
Yep.
which we have to go to them.
yeah, I understand. They've zeroed that out.
Yep.
Okay. Before I came in here, we had our boilers were inspected here at the complex, and there's 8 of them. Usually you may just have 2 big ones. No fault of their own, no fault of anybody, but we're not compliant because of new state mandate codes. So there's some things that we're gonna have to do to them. Very fortunate, luckily, when the inspector came, BTS was here down there with the chillers doing some wiring. And they were here to know what we gotta do. He's going to give me a quote the things that we need to do. Then I'll bring that when I get it. It's gonna cost us a little bit. There's nothing wrong with them. Anything. They've all been, I think it's every 3 years they come in. It's just new state mandated.
Oh, so it's got nothing to do with our system deteriorating
Yeah,
or being
they're
inadequate,
perfectly fine.
just the codes change and so,
We're not compliant.
yeah.
It's just where we work fine.
BTS didn't think it was going to be a big deal though to make them compliance, just you have to write the
No.
check.
They did not, but there again, it's getting the parts.
Okay.
But no, and John was here. John Gilbert just happened to be down there, so it worked out nicely in that. But they work fine, they're function, they've been maintenance, it's just, we're just not compliant with new state mandates. And I don't know what that's gonna cost. It's new pressure valves, just egress buttons on each end to be able to shut it off, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll get that list of his report. Then it's gonna be some red tape that I'm gonna have to go in to the state, get this all clear.
Nothing like unfunded mandates to make you appreciate state government.
That's pretty much. I do want to bring up the roof. I got 3 quotes, but I'm leaning, I highly recommend roofing out of St. Henry Technical. They are, I'll just tell you some of the differences and what I liked about them. They've been a company that's existed since 1992. They've been proven contractors, and they've ranked up the top 3% in quality and installation in the nation for the last 10 years. I did call around several places that are highly recommended. Their product, which is, it's a 50 mil versus the other 2 were 40 mil that they would apply. One of the other things that they had that the other quotes didn't have, they will replace all the existing gutters and make them industrial like they should be. The other thing that they have that the other 2 didn't have is the walk track. It'll be color coded where you need to go, and they're going to be, I say weld, I don't mean weld, but they'll weld it in with the other fiber up there. That's one thing that they had. It's a 20-year warranty on that material. The other was 15. And their annual inspection for those 20 years will be once a year, every year at our request. Any question?
So I know when we have looked at those, we've talked about those before, and there's quite a bit of price difference, but with all those differences and with the recommendations that have come along with those, I guess I'm kind of leaning towards this company that you're recommending also.
I mean, it's just, everyone I've called is just highly recommending this company.
Yeah.
It's just the other 2.
How much is their quote, Rick? Or their estimate?
Their quote, excuse me, 145,386, $145,386.
You know, and one of the things that we've done with this building is, as we've had discussions in the IT committee and now with the generator and upgrades to the HVAC, we've made a commitment to this building as a long-term facility for Adams County.
Yes, we have.
And so I guess to me, it makes sense to look at the roof the same way, you know, as a long-term commitment with the best roof that we can put on it.
And keep in mind, gentlemen, the postponement of the chillers, this price went up. I got quotes before. We didn't want to put the roof on until they got the condensers up there, because if they did any damage, the warranty would have been gone. So, and I don't have that in front of me, but I think that was like 136 at the time. So that's what it's went up.
The roof was approved for ARPA for $120,000. So that obviously wouldn't cover this, so you're kind of in the same boat as you are on the other thing, where you have to go before council and tell them that because of the delay, the prices went up that
And I
much.
think the consensus was, is that's what we might have to have done, right, Tony? Hey, this is a ballpark number here. We don't know the price.
Yeah, we told them that at the time,
Yeah,
but they wanted to get them all out of the way.
yeah.
But we stated at the time that
That was just a
Could go up.
number, a guesstimation.
So all the work's been done up there now and we put this roof on, there won't be more work that needs to go over the top and potentially destroy the roof that you're
No.
aware of right now?
Not that I'm aware of. The only thing is train will be in. I think it's scheduled, whenever we get a consistent 65 degree.
Right.
But that roof
They'll
won't
do
be
that
up
start
there.
up. Okay,
We'll have that done before they get up there.
okay.
And I am gonna, even if it was,
Yeah.
we're gonna have walk back.
Well, I was gonna say your walk path will take care of that. So that's, obviously we have to be able to go up there to maintain those chillers. So that's,
And then we got
I think it's everything to do with the roof.
IT will have, we got our dishes up there.
Mhm.
There's antennas.
okay. Good deal.
That is.
Do we want a motion on that?
I'll make that motion. I would assume, I think we need to move forward with this. I'm good with it.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion to approve your recommendation for,
What's that company's name again?
But to answer your questions, Technical Roofing of St. Henry LLC.
okay,
Now make sure you get it.
And Rick, the type of roof this is this a build-up roof or is it a rubber roof or what's actually the material that's being warranted?
It's a rubber membrane. I do
Okay,
have-
it's rubber membrane.
This is what it is.
Okay, good deal. And tell me again how they're fastening it. How they're adhering it to the surface.
They will take into weight, to my understanding, they're gonna come in there and then this will be glued.
Okay, so gonna glue it down. Okay,
well, and then up around the parapet walls, I think they use those trim strips and,
They do.
yeah. You know, and part of the whole process is doing it according to manufacturer's specs.
3
So
million
the warranty
square feet of.
is good from the manufacturer and
All
also
over.
That's
Indiana.
right.
from the company.
They've been together
Oh,
since
no, I got real familiar with rubber.
Since
roofs.
when?
1992.
Okay, so that's 30 years.
30 years they've been in business.
Yeah, good deal. Good deal.
Okay,
One thing that you had asked of me last time with those elevator dates I gave you,
oh, yeah,
I did check with the assessor's office. I talked to Mary personally. She did not have a problem with that date. Ned, I don't think you were here. The date proposed that they proposed,
did you see those?
I haven't talked with him. He was out. I was in the conference last week. May. Yeah.
You weren't here, so we assumed you'd be okay with it.
May 15th. That's fine. Yeah. May 10th, I believe, Ed, is on Wednesday. May 15th would be the following Monday.
No problem whatsoever.
So,
We'll have
it's-
some people come in that pay late, but, a vast majority will be for that.
so how long will we be without? Is it 2 weeks?
It goes to June 6th.
19 days, okay.
June 6th, so what is that, about three?
It was 19 days.
19 days.
Okay,
Good. Thank you.
Just like last year when, we had some issues with the doors being locked and stuff, I would go up and down, somebody would call in the office, I'd walk down and help them, and, it wasn't very much.
I think, some of the conversation, we haven't had it with all, but, excuse me, is putting a list out there on the door of numbers and things. If we have to, possibly setting something out here in the lobby, they could sit at or a little desk or something.
Yep, that's just what I was wondering, if we could set up kind of a temporary little work surface there, that if Ed comes down or somebody else come down
Somebody
and
has to come down. And
set with the customer,
then
set with
I
the
like
taxpayer.
when time gets closer here, give them a good notice and maybe put it in the paper a couple times.
Good deal.
Well, so yeah, if we post it appropriately, in the paper, on the entry doors and actually in the offices, so when people come in ahead of time, they'll know that it's coming up.
Right.
So,
Try to be as informative as we can with it.
okay.
Good.
So no, I don't have anything else, gentlemen.
And then, like we talked about in the safety committee, we're still working on the electronic door locks, and we're getting real close to having that programmed,
Yep.
and so those will be operational pretty soon.
Bob's been working on that endlessly, so getting it in a directory and should be, when it's done, very good.
Okay. All right. Very good. Appreciate your work.
Thanks, Rick.
Ed?
Morning, gentlemen. I was at a conference last week and Tony turned in the report. He said you didn't have any questions, but I just wanted to double check with you.
You said we were broke, is that right?
We're not broke. We're actually in good shape.
Oh, that's what happens when you leave Tony in charge.
Well, I know how to spend money. No respect, Tony. No respect.
Yeah.
You were all here when I spoke earlier this morning with Adams County Council about the events out in California. And with the bank and the two banks that went insolvent within a period of about 48 hours. It is a big thing. It's the second biggest bank failure since 2008 in the housing crisis. It is a big thing. It's not done yet, but it does not affect anything in Adams County. So you heard my presentation I gave to council. I could go through the whole thing, but basically, we're in good shape. I personally spoke with all of our banking partners and some banks, multiple partners. And Steve, you might have even been involved with some of the decisions that your bank talked over Monday morning. Every bank that I talked with were in meetings all Monday morning, and then I kind of caught them immediately after that. But everybody was real good about getting back to me and answered my question in detail. And I just wanted assurances that what I already knew, that we were in good shape. But I got some specifics as far as the different insurance entities that help us out. And Steve, I talked to Bob Rhodes during council, but you heard everything I said.
I did, and I just want to compliment you. I doubt that there's another treasurer in Indiana, state of Indiana, Ed, that's done the due diligence that you have to make sure that our funds are safe and secure. You understand the different insurances that are available, how that PDIF works. I know that's a real godsend to the public depositors of the state of Indiana. And from the banker perspective, I know we would have other solutions that we could offer you to insure those funds, but we just don't need to do that when that public deposit insurance fund's available. And again, I think kudos to you for doing the work, the groundwork that you've done. And I thought the report that you gave to council this morning was just excellent. So thank you.
Thank you for the kind words, but it's not just me, it's the state of Indiana and the legislators back in earlier years where they put together this PDF for public
It's
funds.
been around now for a long time.
It has really helped everybody in Indiana to keep things the way they should be. And they had all the banks deposit some of their portfolio money in that to fund this originally. And it got to the point in 1985 where they said, we have enough money to fund it, you don't have to do it anymore. And it's like $400 million that is in reserve to help fund this type of stuff. But it was important to me to be transparent. First of all, I needed to know. I personally needed to know as treasurer. And then it was important to me to bring it before the council this morning and you folks now. It's very important to me to let you know that I'm doing my due diligence to make sure everything is copacetic. And then also it's important for me to share that information with our taxpayers. And I've prepared some press releases. I've already given them to the media here today, and they'll be getting stories out. But it's important to let our taxpayers know that I was concerned over the weekend hearing all this. And I'm sure there's others that are wondering what's going on. But we've done a really good job overall in reporting and keeping transparent about where everything is. And I just wanted to continue that all the way through this process. Now, you will see some stories from the national news media where some national people say it's all contained, everything is fine, don't worry about it, it will not spread any further than this. I'm not quite that confident. The people that I talk with, they're saying there's very possibly another bank, one bank in particular that may fold, and there could be a few others that fold. But they were all invested in just high risk, high yield, but high risk investments. Too much invested in that, and it caught up with it. And but don't be surprised in the next. It's very volatile, but I'm going to say in the next few days, the next couple of weeks, that there'll be couple of other banks, maybe a few more banks that run into the same situation. So my personal feelings is not completely over yet. Steve, you got
I would agree. You know, the bottom line is not all banks are built the same. Not all banks function the same. The good news is that the banks that we have our money with and you have our money with are those banks that operate in a very conservative manner, in a very conservative environment, and no risk to the depositors. But
so I feel real good about where we stand right now, and it was important to me to bring that in front of you, gentlemen, here this morning. The other thing, tax bills go out April 7th. They will be mailed, and we're already starting to get people asking, when they're going to be and all this and that. Anybody can go to our public portal website, adamscountyindiana.us, and they can view a bill, they can print out a bill. They'll be mailed to everybody April 7th. They'll get them a full month before they're due. People that may test. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
thank you, Ed. Like I said,
Thank you, Ed.
I just would challenge any other county in the state that got the same due diligence report that you got this morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yep,
Much appreciated.
very good. Okay, Barb, would you like to come up? How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, Director.
I'm still sorting and filing and organizing. Just saying.
You got John out of your way now and you got him.
Yeah, but I got Regina there helping though. No Regina, just saying. Okay, so I am here today, and I only brought one of these.
You want me to make a copy?
Well, I don't know if you guys will want to sign that or if you'll have your own. So that's why I only brought one. But what I'm here today is to present the multi-hazard mitigation plan that we.
Could we get Clayton involved to look at this too?
Sure. I sent
Okay.
one to Mark Burry also.
Oh, did you?
When I sent that out to all of you
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Were you the one that responded?
I was, I had never read that before.
There's-
I thought it was fascinating. I don't know how fascinating that stuff can be, but it's like, I can't believe we actually think about this and plan for this. So
I know.
congratulations. I was
Thank you.
impressed.
Yeah,
I was impressed. And I may not believe this, but I read it. It was really like that.
That whole thing.
I did.
It's a lot.
I'm talking about a slow day at the office. Slow day at the office, but I responded back to Barbara. I said, man, this is really interesting stuff.
And Stan, you were at our meeting in April, right? When we had the big group in, and Christopher Burke Engineering is the company that leads this.
Yeah.
So we get what's called an MHMP, Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan grant. And that grant pays for 75% of us to get this done. And then the 25% is in-kind match, which every time we have a meeting, every time we send out emails, every time we take any time, plus anybody.
You
that
can
came
count
to-
all those hours and stuff.
All those have a dollar amount.
Right.
So we have over succeeded our match. Actually, it's not gonna cost the county anything. But the reason we do this, which we do it every 5 years, is if we don't do this plan, which is a FEMA plan, then FEMA will not allow us to apply for any grants. So, and it's a good vote. I mean,
You might think it's just an eyewash plan, but I'm going through there and reading, I think, yeah, that is very specific to Adams County, that particular part of it. And,
yes.
and we have very specific things that may happen here, and the plan has very specific ways to mitigate those risks. So
Exactly.
again, I was really impressed.
Well, and we received this grant 2 years ago. So there's been lots of meetings, lots of identifying what your gaps are, what your needs are. Because when we go to write a grant, then we use those gaps to ask for funding. If those gaps aren't already identified in this plan, FEMA won't even look at us. So it starts here. That's how it all starts.
That was quite the process to
It
go
is.
through all
I
that.
bet that was.
I mean, it kind of
is.
forced you to think about things you don't want to think about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm here today, I did send it out to everyone to review it. And then we need to adopt this as our
Okay.
plan for the next 5 years. And then once the county does, I will attend Decatur, Bern, Monroe, and Geneva, each of those communities, because they were also set representatives from each community to all these meetings. And then I'll ask them, because they are also listed in the first page of the plan. So I will ask them if they would also, they could either use the county's resolution, or they may want to do one of their own. So we are just about ready to wrap up this 2-year grant. I can't wait for it to be done.
With this, have you heard back from Mark on reviewing this
I
resolution?
have not heard word.
Okay, because I would say that we probably, at least until next week, need to table this so that I can sit down with Mark. I'm Clayton Langer, sorry, I just joined Mark. I haven't seen this, so I at least want to talk with him because I'm pretty sure, almost 100%, that Mark needs to be the one as the county attorney to present this resolution for adoption. So I will make sure that I sit down and talk with him this week, if not by Monday, so that Tuesday, either him or I are trying to present this.
That would be great.
Or provide revisions or anything, I mean, just get it shored up.
Right. And if you need more copies, if a copy sent to you,
Yeah, if you would. So do you have Mark's email?
I have Mark's email.
So my email is just clangrich@mbbattorneys.com. So similar to Mark's email, just
Okay.
the letter C,
And then LEN.
LENGERICH @mbbattorneys.com.
All right. And we do, our current plan, which is still in effect, expires September 23rd of this year. But we have, I'm kind of backstepping. One of our requirements for this was not only to come to the commissioners, but it had to be advertised for 2 weeks on a public website, which we did that on Adams County site. We also have to send it out to every county surrounding Adams County. So, because there's so much cross-county information that goes on. So those counties had to also approve it. And then we also had to publicize it in the papers and on the radio station for 2 weeks. So everybody's had a chance to change it or complain or whatever in the public. So now it just comes down to this is the final steps of it. So that's all I have.
So we'll table that until next week
Yeah,
until
Mark will look at
Mark
it.
has an
Clayton-
opinion on that.
Clayton or one of them will come back and present. The attorneys have to present a resolution. It can't be a department presenting a resolution.
And that's why I only brought that one page because that's what came from Christopher Burke,
Okay.
you know, a template basically. So.
Okay.
Yes.
Right there, there's a bar.
I can do
It can be official.
that. Again.
Because she does,
Yeah.
she doesn't get paid until that's signed, right? So she's.
That's correct.
It's okay. I'm learning so much stuff right now. I went home last night. My husband says, you look really tired. I said, my brain is fried. I'm just saying.
At least I'm already.
No, well, thank you very much. I appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank you.
coming
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Like we say, yours is a job that nobody appreciates until we need you. So,
That's why I like it.
yeah,
I mean, that's good for me and hopefully the next person that we hire to help feels the same way. So,
Gentlemen, Carla from Hilb responded back. I forwarded what she said to you guys.
oh, okay.
Like just now.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
yeah. Very good. Okay, did you have anything to present for attorney?
I don't today, other than reviewing this agreement in the near future. So I'm also going to shore up and get the interlocal agreement for bridge number 19 done this week, sent over to Nate and Wells
Oh,
County's
good.
attorney. And they're planning on talking about that on Monday during their commissioners meeting. And then it should hopefully be ready for Adams for your signature on Tuesday next week.
Okay,
So.
good. We can keep that going. All right. Shannon, did you have anything for us?
So quite a few weeks ago, a couple months ago maybe, in both the change committee and the safety committee, I brought up a service called Textcaster. And it's a texting program service that we can purchase and use for any number of things. But it allows employees to sign up and we can basically do a mass text for emergency alerts, emergency closings. We can even use it for like open enrollment reminders, W-2 reminders, update your address, things like that. So I got an agreement from Textcaster from the salesperson that I had been working with, and I sent it over to Mark. And Mark reviewed it, and the only changes that he had was change the language from Michigan to Indiana. So I've done that, and then this is just ready for you guys to review, sign, ask questions, whatever you need to do.
About how, just about, I was interested to hear your list of things you might use it for. I guess when I read it, I thought, oh, this is neat. I know we use something like that at my employer, and it's great to hear so-and-so closing, delayed, blah, blah, blah. But also you can go the whole year and not ever use it for those kind of things. So tell me again, all the other kind of things you think you might be able to use it for.
So my main concern is for emergency alerts. That's the big one. So last year when we had the code red that we went into in February for the snow, the way that we handled it was that John August called me in the morning after he had conferred with Stan, Dan, and Brad and said, hey, I need you to get up and send an email to all employees to let them know. Well, the problem with that is that A, not every employee has an email address, and B, not everybody gets it on their phone. So this is a service that they could sign up for, and we would strongly encourage them to just get a text message in that scenario. So absolutely emergency alerts and emergency closings. But also we could use it for open enrollment reminders. So once we're coming up to open enrollment, hey, as a friendly reminder, the health fair is taking place on this date if you need to make changes when open enrollment ends. And then we could also use it for, hey, please remember to update your address. W-2s are coming out soon, or we're using DocuLivery for W-2s this year, as you guys approved the other day. And I'm sure that if me and Bree sat down, we could figure out a couple more reasons to use it for.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's very inexpensive. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the agreement.
I
but
did, yeah.
it's not- it's not-
It's relatively cheap, but if you're
It
not
is.
gonna use it, it's
Right.
still money wasted if we go a whole year and don't use it.
No, I agree, but my main goal with this was to use it in an emergency situation, because the last thing we would want to do is for an employee to try to show up to work
Mhm.
when they don't really need to. So it really is a kind of a reserve program
Okay.
that we could use, for emergencies. And you're right, it could go a whole year, but I think we could drum up another couple ways that we could use it.
What was the amount again?
The one-time setup fee is $200. And then there's a monthly price based on the subscribers. So I would assume that we would be in the 1 to 500 subscriber count, because we have about 320, including poll workers.
So the only thing that would, the setup fee wouldn't have to be paid again. It's only the monthly
Yeah.
going forward.
Which is $100 a month.
Where were we gonna pay it?
We haven't decided. Oh. Do we need to do that now?
Probably.
Okay.
So you don't approve something but then not have a budget. I don't have an idea.
Yeah, we have to figure out where that would come out of. Is there something in the commissioner's budget for that?
Are you reading it? Or is
I'm not.
Stan in it?
No, we haven't approved it yet.
Financial.
Just don't break my computer again.
There's no promises.
I mean, I assume we do it out of commissioner's budget,
What is?
or not necessarily.
I mean, I don't know where else you're gonna take it.
Because I don't think we
The
got.
setup fee's $200 for,
It's a one-time setup fee, and basically they set up the system for us where I become an administrator, and then we could decide who else is an administrator, and
Okay.
we can set up the
How about
little
doing
groups
that?
of employees, we can set up the sign-in page, we can, like, stuff like that. It only takes about 2 days to get it implemented. It's not like a intense process.
probably all be down on the phone.
Probably.
What's,
Oh.
Yeah, our meetings about it have been all virtual.
are you looking at it too, Steve?
We'll have to pay.
Are you looking at the budget?
No, I am not.
You wanna look
What
at
about,
those consulting will work with it.
I would go between county promotions and,
That's kind of what I was thinking. The employee, it's not like
and there's an employee training.
yeah.
There's just not really,
What goes into that county promotions line?
This is the first year in a while that we've had it so big. And the intention was that commissioners had talked about wanting to do something end of year for employees in terms of like.
we,
But it
And
fall
county
under
promotion.
emergency management at all? I know they kind of have a.
so we had it for, emergency management had it several years ago.
They have a similar system.
They did, because we all signed up for it,
Yeah.
but that was, I don't know whatever happened with it. And I don't remember if it was text, it was a texting, but I don't remember who it was through. And I want to say they got a grant for it. So the county didn't actually, per se, pay for it. I mean,
But that was the
it's not
bottom
really
line. I mean,
training.
they have a whole different communication system for emergency responders, and they didn't use the texting part of it.
And it's not really consulting. I almost have to go with county promotions.
Because we've got $5,000 budgeted for that.
Don't you think? There's just not many.
They have to figure, yeah, because
Steve, you have some concerns?
It's $1,400. Is it gonna be used?
What was the question?
It's $1,400. Is it going to be used? Or is it just a
You don't have many.
At minimum, it could be used, I know, for a couple times a year, at minimum.
So
But it's more of an,
Kind of an insurance policy.
right.
Hey, Steve, how do you spell?
I was being light.
I was gonna look, I know we have it at the bank. I was gonna see how many messages I've got on it this year.
And I'm assuming, so if you do something like this, it's not something we can make employees sign up for.
So it's all on a volunteer base.
I know we had a lot of issues whenever the IT thing, like, when we had to put the app on for, sorry, the verification or whatever, we had a lot of flat back from
I
employees.
guess my biggest concern is used.
That's why I was trying to think if there was a way that we could make sure that they do sign up. No, I mean, we cannot force them to, but again, just like most other things, it comes down to education and communication on what it is and how it benefits them. If I walk into the auditor's office and say, hey, I don't know if all of you guys have your email on your phone, but in the event that something happened or this building, had an emergency, this is how we're going to be able to communicate with you guys. And I think most people would respond well and sign up for it. I would want to know if it were me. Why wouldn't you want to know? Who wants to drive to work when it's really terrible outside if your building's not even open?
Adventure.
No.
Oh,
So, I mean, we can put it aside for this week. If you guys want to think about it, talk about it more, it's up to you.
it's up to you guys. Steve, you've had as much experience with it as
How many
I.
texts did you get, Steve?
Well, I've got 3 in the last month,
Oh.
but those were related to weather issues at the bank. So it's just, so I don't know whether that would probably be similar. I don't know.
It would be a way to put out notices on a multiple range of things as far as not just weather, but as far as, reminder the elevator's gonna be out of service from blah, blah, blah. Or,
Reminder county offices are closed for a paid holiday.
I think we might use it more than we think. I know that we've talked at the bank about wishing we had the ability to communicate more effectively with our customers. We don't have this kind of a system with our customers, just with our employees. For maybe some just nice to know things, not necessarily have to know, but nice to know things.
Right.
What is the cancellation policy?
30 days.
So if we were to evaluate it for 6 months, whatever, how would we objectively decide if it's a good thing or not?
If we've used it.
So
If we've
this
used it?
This agreement is for 12 months, and then we have to notify them in writing within 30 days if we want to terminate. So we're locked for 12 months.
Okay.
And then we could evaluate after, once we get to month 10 or 11. I like to survey. I know everybody feels like surveys are kind of a 50-50 kind of thing, but I do like a survey. We can put that out. We can figure out how many times we've actually used it and draw it down to a dollars and cents perspective. It just depends on what information you would want to see to try to evaluate whether it was worth the money or not.
Would you see it as a way that would help employees be more efficient?
No, not necessarily. No, it's just more of an information tool.
Just more informed.
Yeah, to keep them up to date.
Would it be a way that would help them with their safety?
Yes, absolutely. In an emergency situation, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm talking about countywide closures. And the system does have the ability to set up groups. So I could essentially go in and set up each physical location that we have, and then we could give that department head the ability to use the system to only send out messages to their specific group. So if there was an incident in jail, let's say there was a water main break in circuit court and everybody had to, go home for the day or not come in the next day. that one of the department heads in that building could very easily send out a message to all of those employees, not necessarily countywide employees. So yes, it is based on safety, but again, it's also very informational. It doesn't really give a lot of value to the employees' positions.
Are you in charge of who's in charge of it?
So we can have administrators who are the people who can add employees, take away employees, change groups, send out messages, things like that. But then we can also have the next tier down, which I can't remember exactly what they call that role. But you guys would tell me who you want to have access in that role, and you can tell me who you want to be an administrator. So my thought was that I could be an administrator, and then we could have at least two others, maybe Tony or Bree, and then maybe like Barb at EMA, just in case one of the two of us, three of us is not available.
I'd be willing to give it a shot for a year, but I appreciate having at the end of 10 months, let's have a report and figure out whether we want to renew it or
And
not.
take it out of the county promotions line to begin with.
I would think so.
Was that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that as long as it's reviewed within 10 months and we decide that.
Okay, we'll go ahead and give it a try.
Good.
It's to sign, so I can send it there. And this has a start date of April 1, 2023, just because I didn't know when we were going to get this done. And you just have to sign here on that second section of the last page. So we'll talk about it in end of year, beginning of year, next year.
And Mark was okay with this as long as we change the language to
Indiana, yes.
Indiana instead.
Yep, he looked over it. And I do have that email too, that he said it's fine. Working.
When you go back, let her know that I emailed.
You didn't know that was gonna be that tough, did you? What?
And the other thing that I have is
You should get.
the claim that we discussed last week. I am asking if we can process this claim as in PPO due to an extenuating circumstance.
See, I've given that a lot of thought, and my problem is how do we partition this so that it doesn't become a precedent that we end up doing this time after time after time. And I've had a hard time in my mind trying to say, this is very specific and it's very unique and it's very different. And so that's the reason we're going to do it this time and the reason that we can decline to do it the next time. I'm struggling with that. Any thoughts on that?
The only thought that I can give is that there's only two providers in the state of Indiana who offer this service. So neither one of them are considered a network for us right now. I did ask that question. So I mean, in my opinion, that would be the extenuating circumstance. It's
So
not a-
there is not an in-network option for this particular service. How often do you think that happens though in other kinds of things where there's not an in-network opportunity for somebody to do whatever they're trying to do?
I would think it's very minimal, but again, the medical and healthcare landscape changes so often, I can't really speculate on, what that number would actually look like.
I guess my fear is that if that's what we hang our hat on, that we end up doing that more than we think we might because there's not an in-network option. And so here's your bill, county.
And that's okay. I mean, if that's, and I explained that, we had that conversation and I said, this is what either A is going to happen or B is going to happen, and they were okay with it. So
I hate it, but I think that's, what do you think, Steve?
I feel that you're opening up a situation that I don't want to go down.
When we talked about it last week, I was like, yeah, I think I can support that. But boy, I just thought, and Steve's comments made me think even more about how do we not set a precedent here that's going to come back and we're going to have to deal with this regularly. And I would hate to open up that can of worms.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you sharing that with us. Stan, you didn't say anything, but don't guess you have to,
Okay, motion dies for lack of a first, second, or third.
huh? Yeah, typical.
Oh, let's see, I was just going through our list here to see. As far as that drainage board, there's probably no reason to bring that up here, is there?
No, but has Tony seen that? That's pretty clear that we can, that state statute makes it pretty clear that we can either be the commission or or the board, or we can designate, as long as one of us is part of the board.
Well, I don't know if he was here. No, I don't think so.
Can I
I
make a
think,
copy of this, Steve?
I think
So you can look
you
at
were
it.
saying him for Mark last week though, during that survey.
And I researched, I mean, it's clear that,
That's clear, Tony.
I mean, you can have one of the executives, so one of you would still need to sit on it, and then you could appoint, what,
2 others.
two freeholders.
Yeah.
Freeholders isn't defined, freeholders isn't defined in the statute section, but I mean, freeholder, just in Black's Law Dictionary or Merriam's, is basically just a landowner in the county. It does state, I mean, as you see here, a freeholder in the county who's knowledgeable in drainage matters, so obviously, you know, that's a qualification needed. It would probably just be up to you all as to when you appoint them and when you would like those to start. And obviously, you know, it says here, those appointees, you need to do it in a 3-year staggered term on an annual basis. So really just when you want to start that annual basis.
So you would appoint one, say this year, and then next year you would appoint the second one?
That would be an easy way to do
Or
it.
could you put them both, one for a 2-year term, one for a 3-year term, and
If someone would agree to just take a 2-year term, I don't see why you could do it. I think it seems reasonable to be able to do it either way.
Would this be added as a certificate of appointment like the other
Would
ones?
you get may I get a copy of that?
oh, yeah.
Probably, I would
Or you can
assume.
bring that.
I'll check into it.
Oh,
Be
Okay,
sure.
because on the certificate of appointments, like Barb just had to sign, the ones that are appointed by the commissioners, they sign, I sign, notarize it, and the person signs. So if that would be the case for this,
Yeah,
you
it,
guys can find, you guys can let us know. And Brooke usually sends this page to us.
Yeah.
yeah, it would be, it would be one of those because I mean, they're appointed by the executive, so it's the same thing, the executive being the commissioners. So
And then whatever length the term is.
Paul's,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Paul's universally respected.
And I don't think necessarily there
throughout
has
the
to
county. I don't
be
think that would be an issue.
anything other than just
We don't know
an
all.
appointment, because it's a stat, I mean, it's clear language of the statute. It doesn't
I-
require a
I
resolution.
So we
think-
could have a total of 5 people,
You can, yes,
and one of them would be one of the commissioners,
you can have,
and then we would appoint 4 other people,
well,
4 freeloaders, or freeholders.
Or it could be the 3 commissioners
Yeah,
and
one of the
2 people. Do commissioners get a stipend for drainage board? They did at one time. I don't
and then
know if
and then the surveyor sits on the board,
Don't
but
know.
he's a
So
non,
it'd be
but
one of us, the surveyor,
well, no, you could have 5. So one of you, 4 others, and then surveyor sits ex officio,
Is a non-voting
so
member.
non-voting.
gotcha. So,
So technically 6, but 5 voting members. 1 commissioner and then 4 appointees. Or you could do 3.
or we could do
I
3.
would do 3, that, if we're gonna do.
You could do 1 commissioner, 2 freeholders, surveyor sits non-voting.
Or could we do 3 commissioners and 2 other freeholders?
Yes.
You could. I mean, you could,
Let's maybe have that discussion and see what you and Mark think and what.
yeah, you could, because it says at least 1 member must be a member of the executive. So you could have all 3 members of the executive and fill the other 2 with freeholders and then have surveyor. I mean, that's, so at least 1, it doesn't limit the amount of the executive that's on the drainage board.
You want to talk to Mark about that and see if we can come up with a proposal? And then see if we want to do something this year yet, or if we want to wait till the end of the year or whatever.
Sure.
And see what you guys, at least if you came up with a proposal, you know, with a recommendation for us three here, and then we could.
Good.
I'll get with him.
And so, all right. One of the things that I know Mark has been working on, and I don't know if you have been helping him with interlocal agreements.
I've started to.
One of the things that we are looking at is an interlocal agreement with Decatur for the purchase of land on the northwest corner of Northwest School for the purpose of building facility for Council on Aging.
Okay. He's briefly mentioned it.
We've met with city officials and along with council, a couple council members, and we've had a discussion about that. And kind of the way it ended up was that we were recommending an interlocal agreement to take ownership of a certain part of that property for a facility.
Okay.
Now, with looking at the potential opportunity for a public transportation system as of the 1st of January 2024, we're getting into March and getting into April. We need to be getting.
Didn't we have to have a plan to somebody by April?
Well, she was filing for the grant in March.
All right.
And so then that, and I think May is when the grant cycle ends. And so she would find out if we were approved for the grant. And then the operation would start in 2024.
January of 24.
Right. But we need to have a facility. In order to do that, our best recommendation was to have ownership of some property there.
Okay.
So somehow that kind of needs to be moved along.
You know what this is about?
I do.
Public transportation.
Yeah.
Can't remember when you started, so.
No, but
Yeah, I'll follow up with him on that.
Okay.
And I'll get to work on it if there's not, figure it out.
Okay. And then as far as security assessments, we're waiting on quotes from Mike Votal. We've had meeting with the safety committee and also with the change committee, you know, and so still waiting on that. Yeah. Pull up a text. I had a request. Request from the Decatur Chamber of Commerce to use the courthouse lawn on June 17th from 10 until 11 a.m. And this is for a baby crawling contest.
huh?
So
Need a motion for that?
I guess we do.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah,
Second.
all right.
What date?
That is June 17th.
10 to 11.
And Ed's gonna judge it.
It's,
And they're off.
it's just from Linda at the chamber. So if anybody needs any more information, you have to talk to Linda. So I'm not sure exactly what a baby crawling contest is. It might be kind of similar to frog jumping. I'm not sure. But, so. I don't believe I have anything else. Do you have anything else to?
I'll just give you a quick 1-minute update from park board meeting that I was at last night. Couple things. Number one, they're working on some, we approved or we looked at approving, or we approved some funding to rehab the Sealand Bridge. They're looking at some grants also to help with the maintenance of that bridge. And a really interesting visit, Tyler Schuman, our new Soil and Water Conservation Director,
good.
visited with the Parks Board last night. And I'm telling you what, that was a really encouraging meeting between Tyler and the Park Board about some things collaboration that he's looking to do with the Park Board on some, doing some plantings and some education around pollinators and using the parks, the county parks to plant those pollinators and then do the training and education around the pollinators that we have locally. And I was just, the conversation was just really encouraging that Tyler initiated last night. So I just want to report that I think I have high expectations there from our new Soil and Water Conservation Director. He really had a nice visit last night with the Park Board that I think is going to bear fruit for us as a county.
Good, that's kind of a neat collaboration.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but he was all over it.
Yeah, good. When you talk about the covered bridge down in Ceylon, I think we were just planning on tearing that down, weren't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, you were listening.
We thought you were leaving.
What?
We thought you were leaving.
Oh, I got it.
No, I did talk to Jeremy a little bit, and he said he is getting quotes on rehabbing and repainting the bridge, but it's such a specialized thing that he was only able to get 2 quotes. So I don't know if that's gonna be, I mean, if you can only get 2 quotes, you can only get 2 quotes, but it's gonna be less than $50,000, I think, the way it sounded anyway.
Yeah.
But
It's less than 50? I mean, if it's less than 50, then you don't even need 3 quotes, I believe.
well, he kind of wondered too, maybe it was more of an opinion if we were okay with just 2 quotes, but I don't know if
Pyramid is 150,000.
did he talk about that last night?
He wasn't there. He was at road school, so he wasn't there
Oh.
last night. So we didn't hear from him last night.
Okay.
But Randy Lehman was talking about
Bids.
a National Covered Bridge Association that he is a part of, and some grant money. I don't know whether it's going to help this round, but I know that they're looking for some alternative sources to keep that bridge in good shape. And he talked about a couple of different grant opportunities to help with the maintenance of that bridge.
Okay.
I think we're looking to that
Wabash.
What's that?
National Association.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, he said
also-
that he had
That's where
seen
he's setting
that.
that,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Bridge
Yeah.
Association, and
Oh,
they,
really?
He
They
was really
helped
good
like
when he brought that in. He
too.
was giving
Okay.
everybody's attention. That's what Randy
Very
meant.
good.
Man.
Yeah, when I went down to Geneva Chamber of Commerce luncheon last week, and Randy Lehman spoke down there. So he has put so much work into that trail and that
Yeah.
bridge. It's incredible. I can't even imagine how much work that
Yeah.
man has put into that.
Randy and Jerry write to me all the time what they're working on and stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's doing a lot of work.
very good. Yeah, but I know they really appreciated the Parks Department putting that connector in from the bridge to their trail, and
Yeah.
so they appreciated that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting group.
All right, anything else from general public?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, meeting